Okay. Good morning. Last week we have discussed about building relationship between given physical quantities. In that case, we have used two relationships. What are those? Direct proportionality and indirect proportionality. If two physical quantities are directly proportional, the ratio of between these two physical quantities is a constant. So if two physical quantities are directly proportional, if two physical quantities are directly proportional, we can use that definition to build an equation. Because if these two physical quantities are directly proportional, the ratio between them is a constant. The ratio between them is a constant. So if any two physical quantities are directly proportional, we can use that relationship to build an equation. This is the way of building an equation. If any two physical quantities are directly proportional, we can write the ratio of them as a constant, is equal to a constant. So then we can make an equation. Okay, so we have converted this relationship into an equation. So we can use this method to build an equation. So as an example, we have discussed in last week. Suppose we have to build an equation between area and the side length of a square. Area and the side length. So in this case, actually we don't know whether these are directly proportional or not. We don't know whether these two physical quantities are directly proportional or not. So we have assumed that some power of L is directly proportional to A. This is the assumption. We assume some power of X, some power of L is directly proportional to the area. Okay, this is my assumption. Okay, so if those two physical quantities are directly proportional, I can convert this relationship into an equation by replacing the proportionality symbol from equal and constant mark. Okay, because if these two physical quantities are directly proportional, the ratio between them is a constant. So I can write it as A equal constant into L to the power X. So I have assumed a relationship. From that relationship, I have built an equation. So Puta, if I know the value of K and value of X, definitely we can get an equation. Okay. So in this method, we are going to evaluate, or we are going to determine these two values to determine an equation. Okay. In that case, as I told you earlier, we cannot find the value of K. We cannot find. That should be given by the examiner or by the question, the person who prepared the question. So if this value is given, the only thing we have to determine is X. The only thing we have to determine is x. So after that, we are going to use dimensional analysis to determine the value of x. So after this step, we are going to use dimensional analysis. So during the determination of an equation, the first step is this assumption. I have assumed these two physical quantities are directly proportional. Actually, I don't know whether they are directly proportional or not, but I have assumed some power of x, some power of L. Some power of L is directly proportional to A. Okay. If I can find that value, find that power, then we can say L to the power 2 is directly proportional to A, or L to the power 3 is directly proportional to A. That kind of thing I can determine. Okay. So I assume that this is the first step. First step is assumption. What is the assumption? I have assumed some power of L is directly proportional to A. That is step number 1. Then using that relationship, I have converted the relationship into an equation. So I have built an equation, but in this equation there are two unknown quantities. One is proportionality constant, other one is the power. So this thing we cannot determine, or we cannot obtain this value using dimensional analysis, so that value should be given. So if this value is given, the only thing we have to determine is x. So I can use dimensional analysis to determine the value of x. Okay, I will explain that thing again. So if this is an equation, the left hand side, then right hand side should be equal to that. So the physical quantity in left hand side should be equal to the physical quantity in right hand side. So if this is an equation, the dimension of LHS should be equal to dimension of RHS. So dimension of A should be equal to the dimension of L to the power x. I don't want to consider K because K is a constant. So dimension of constant, actually this constant should be a numerical constant. This numerical constant, the dimension of a numerical constant is 1. So I don't want to consider that one. Then dimension of A. Now I can write this one as L is squared, because L is area. So dimension of A is L is squared. Then dimension of L is a length. Side length is length. So dimension of L also is L. So this is an equation. Again, this is an equation. So if there is a term, if there is a base in left hand side, if there's a base with a power in left hand side, that should be in right hand side too. Okay. So here L is here and L is here too. So the power of same bases, in two sides should be equal, as this is an equation. So power of same bases in two sides should be equal. So x should be equal to 2. So this is the way of determining or building a relationship or building an equation between some given physical quantities. Okay.
So does K have a dimension?
No,
Does
Puta.
K have a
That is
dimension?
a limitation of this physical this analysis. There are so many limitations. One of those limitation is that one. K should not have dimension. Otherwise, we cannot do that. No, otherwise we cannot do that. So K should be a numerical constant. K should be a numerical constant. That should not be a physical quantity which has a dimension. Okay, K should not have a dimension. Otherwise, we cannot do that. Or the dimension of K should be given. The dimension of K should be given. Okay, because we cannot do anything with K. We cannot do anything with K. We cannot determine the value or dimension of K value. K. Okay. You understand? Okay. Up to now we have discussed okay. Okay, Pita. I think we have write this example, no? We have write this example, no? We have written this example, no? Okay. Did I give him some note? My note එකක් දුන්නද එකට? Steps එක දුන්නද? Steps එක දුන්නද? ඒ steps එක මම ලියාගන්න දුන්නද පුතේ? First step is assumption, then okay, good. Then the second thing is in this first example, there are only two physical quantities to be considered. So the second scenario is if we are given more than two physical quantities, such as if as example we are given the unbalanced force acting on an object is the unbalanced force acting on an object depends on the mass and the acceleration of that object. The proportional constant is 1. Find determine an equation or determine a relationship between these three physical quantities. That is the question. What is the question? The unbalanced force acting on an object depends on the mass and the acceleration of that object. And the proportionality constant is 1, is equal to 1. Then you have to find the relationship, or you have to find an equation between these two physical quantities, between these three physical quantities. According to the given data, the first thing you have to consider, according to the given data, F depends on A and M. So my first assumption is F directly proportional to some power of M, That is my first assumption. That can be happen, no? Because it is given because F depends on M. F depends on M means F can be directly proportional to some power of M. The power should be determined. If I can determine the power, then we can say the way of proportionality in between F and M. Then we are given F depends on A2, acceleration 2. So I can write this one. F directly proportional A to the power Y. A to the power Y. So I assume F directly proportional to some power of M and F directly proportional to some power of A. That is my assumption. So if any physical quantity directly proportional to two physical quantities, two or more than two physical quantities separately, I can write it as F directly proportional to the product or multiplication of these physical quantities. Okay. So if any physical quantities directly proportional to another two physical quantities separately, so that physical quantity will be directly proportional to the product of those two physical quantities. මෙයාලා වෙන වෙනම directly proportional වෙනවා නම් එයාගේ product එකටත් මෙයා directly proportional වෙනවා. I have explained that thing because if you want to find the variation of F with A, you have to keep M as a constant. So this is a constant. If this is a constant, the ratio of F over MA is a constant. If you want to find the change of F with M, you should keep A as a constant. If A is a constant, again F over MA is a constant. Okay. So ඒක ඔලුවට ගන්න නැත්නම් ඔලුවට වන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. හැබැයි මතක තියාගන්න මෙහෙම දෙයක්. මේ දෙන්න separately directly proportional වෙනවා නම් මේ දෙන්නගේ product එකටත් මෙයා directly proportional වෙනවා. So after this step, we can convert this relationship into an equation. So F should be equal constant into m to the power x, a to the power y. M to the power x, a to the power y. Okay. Then what should I do? We have to find k, x and y. And the first thing we are given k, it is equal to 1, so we can use that one. So as k equal 1, then f equal m to the power x, a to the power y. Then this is an equation. So if it is an equation, the dimension of LHS should be equal to the dimension of RHS. So as this is an equation, the dimension of LHS should be equal to the dimension of RHS. So dimension of F should be equal to dimension of m to the power x, dimension of a to the power y. Now you can apply dimensions of each terms. Dimension of F is m L t minus 2 is equal m to the power x, then L t minus 2 to the power 1. After you apply dimension of each physical quantity, you have to simplify this one. And write in M, L, and T only. M, L, T minus 2 is equal m to the power x, L to the power y, minus 2 into y. That means t to the power minus 2y, t to the power minus 2y. So if this is an equation, the same base in two sides, should have equal powers, should have same power. The same base in two sides should have same power. That is my next argument. What is the argument? If this is an equation, make an equation එකක් නම් මොකද වෙන්නේ? The same base එකේ තියෙන powers should be equal. Okay. If this is an equation, the same base should have same powers. So I can equate equating the power of m. You have to write this one as m semicolon. That means we are considering the power of m. So the power of m in LHS is 1. The power of m in right hand side is equal to x. From that, I can determine x is equal to 1. Then you can equate in the power of L. If I equate power of L, the LHS have power is 1. The right hand side, the power of L is equal to y. So from that, we can determine y should be equal to 1. So my mission is completed. Because this is my assumed equation. So this is the assumed equation. This is the assumed equation. So from that we have determined the actual equation by calculating the value of x and y, and we are given the value of k, so we don't want to calculate this one. Once we calculated x and y, the value of x and y, we will have the actual equation. So the actual equation, in the actual equation, k should be 1, x should be 1, y should be 1. So the actual equation. So the equation is equal to f equal m a, f equal m a. Do you get my point? Everyone?
Excuse me, sir.
Okay.
So, when saying f equals ma,
Wait a minute.
m to the,
Okay, Puta, tell me. No.
So, according to this assumed equation, f equals constant multiplied by m to the power of something, a to the power of something. No?
Yeah.
So when normally calculated, like we take it as f equals ma, no? We don't add anything to that. So
sorry?
if when normally calculating, f equals 10, if f equals 10 and m is given as 5, we take a as 2, no? According to the normal way. So that constant is not like the whole thing should be multiplied by the constant as well, no? So why do we ignore the constant? Like,
No, Puta. According to our definition of direct and direct proportionality, according to our definition of direct proportionality, there should be a constant. Okay, because if any two physical quantities are directly proportional, so the ratio between them should be a constant. So if any two physical quantities, in this case F is a one physical quantity, M A, M to the power X and A to the power A. This one is another physical quantity. So if these two physical quantities are directly proportional, so definitely the ratio between these two physical quantities should be a constant. So there should be a constant. There should be a constant. But the thing is, if there is a constant, we cannot do any calculation because each and every time we have to apply constant too. No, no. So or we should have the value of constant. So in this case, I will explain in mechanics lesson. In this case, the K is equal to 1. K is equal to 1 because the unit of F, the unit of F is Newton, Newton is defined as 1 kg ms minus 2. 1 kg ms minus 2 is equal to 1 Newton. 1 Newton. 1 kg is minus 2 is equal to 1 Newton. So if I take force in Newton and mass in kg and acceleration in ms minus 2, definitely K should be 1. K should be 1. Okay. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Because that's why when you apply force and mass and acceleration here in this equation, definitely those physical quantities should be measured in Newton, kg and ms minus 2. Okay. Otherwise, K won't be equal to 1. Okay. Actually, Puta, K should be a number. K should be a number. K should be a number. Or otherwise, we have to. Otherwise, we should be the dimension of K should be given. Okay, K should be a number. K should be a number. Otherwise, other thing is the value of K should be given. You don't want to worry about K. K can worry because we don't in this method we cannot determine K. In this method we cannot determine K. Okay, in this method we are going to use dimensional analysis. So using dimensional analysis, we cannot determine K, Puta. So don't worry about K. We cannot determine K. If you want to determine K, the value of K should be given. The value of K or dimension of K should be given. Otherwise, we cannot determine any equation. Okay. අපිට කිසිම equation එක determine කරන්න බෑ K නැතුව. K අනිවාර්යෙන් දෙන්න ඕන. හරිද? මේ analysis එකේදී අපිට K හොයන්න බෑ. ඒක නිසා K ඒගොල්ලෝ අපිට දෙන්න ඕන. K වල value එක ඒගොල්ලෝ දෙන්න ඕන. Okay. So the value of K should be given by the examiner, or if there is any dimension for this physical quantity, that should be given by the examiner. So we don't want to worry about K. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. Write a subtopic. Build in an equation. Between More than two physical quantities. More than two physical quantities. Okay, right under the topic. Right under the topic. Suppose the unbalanced force acting on an object acting on an object depends on the mass and the acceleration of the object. If the proportionality constant is equal to 1 build a relationship between these three physical quantities. Build a relationship between these three physical quantities. Okay, write this one only. This one only, okay? F depends on M and A. F depends on M and A. Write this one only. Don't write this one. Don't write anything. Only this one. Only this one. Write this one only. F depends on M and A. Then it is step one. Step one. Step one. Right now the step one. We can assume. We can assume F. We can assume F. 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 Is directly proportional. If it's directly proportional, it's directly proportional to some power of M. To some power of M. To some power of M. And to some power of A separately. To some power of A separately. Write these two. Write these two only. F directly proportional M to the power by X and F directly proportional A to the power Y. Right under this, right under this, right under this. If any physical quantity, if any physical quantity is directly proportional, directly proportional to number of physical quantities, to number of physical quantities it will be directly proportional. It will be directly proportional it will be directly proportional to the product of them two, to the product of them two.
Which will be
It will be directly proportional to the product of them two. Okay, write these two steps. Write these two steps. These two steps. Okay. Right under this, right under this. So this is the assumed equation. This is the assumed equation. This is the assumed equation. We are given the value of k. We are given the value of k. If we can find the value of x and y, if we can find the value of x and y, if you can find the value of x and y, we can determine the actual equation. We can determine the actual equation.
excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So now we can say that f equals constant multiplied by m into the power of something, and then f equals constant multiplied by into the power of something. So we can say that constant multiplied by m power of something and multiplied by constant into the power of some power, then of course we can say that force is being multiplied by force again. No? So the square of force, no, it will be the square of force, right?
No. We cannot say that like this. Okay, we can say like this means this is not an equation. That's why as I said earlier, this is not an equation, Puta. F is suppose F directly proportional to M. Suppose F directly proportional to A. Okay. We cannot write F is equal to Km as an equation. F is equal to Km. According to mathematical model, F is equal to Km. But F is a physical quantity. No? F is a physical quantity. So K is not the only factor that affect to F. Okay. Sorry. M කියන්නේ එකම එක ෆැක්ටර් එක නෙමෙයි F ට එෆෙක්ට් වෙන. ඒක නිසා F කියන එකට අදාළ ඉක්වේෂන් එක මේක විතරක් නෙමෙයි. මෙතනනුත් තියෙනවා. හරිද? So this is not a mathematical quantities. Those are not the mathematical quantities. So if you take this one, suppose if you consider x is directly proportional to y, then x is directly proportional to z. If those are only mathematical quantities, then your answer is correct. But these are not mathematical quantities. So those are physical quantities. Force is a physical quantity. So the mass is not the only factor that affect to F. Mass is not the only factor. So if I write this equation as F is equal to K to the power K into M to the power X or something, and this is not the correct equation. This is a relationship. That's why I said consider this as a relationship. Puta. This is a relationship. This is not an equation. Okay. Yes. If K is 2, we have to multiply it by 2. Okay. Don't write this one. I will give you a time to write this one. Okay. Again, going into discussion. Suppose F directly proportional to M to the power something. So we can write F is equal K1 into M to the power X. Okay. Suppose again F is equal K2 A to the power Y. Okay. This is your argument. Your argument is correct. This is your argument is not wrong. Your argument is correct. But look at this. You can multiply each side. So F squared is equal K1 K2 M to the power X A to the power Y. Then what should you do? After that මොකද කරන්න ඕනේ?
Get the square root of.
Yes, you have to take the square root. Then again F is equal to square root of K1 K2 m to the power square root of x2 x over 2 y over 2. හරි නේද?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Look at this. K1 is a constant, K2 is a constant. So this is a constant. This is a constant. Okay. X, actually we don't know about x, but x over 2 is a unknown factor. Unknown factor, we can write it as a P. Y over 2 is an unknown factor. We can write this as Q. No? Then again, we can write this as F equal constant into m to the power P a to the power Q. A to the power Q. No?
Yes,
The same equation. No?
yes, sir, yeah.
Okay. But the thing is, don't write this one. Don't write this one because your argument is correct. Your argument is correct. It is not the wrong one. But the thing is, this is not the only factor that affected F, because A is also affect to F. Okay. ඒකත් අනිවාර්ය effect වෙනවා, M එකත් අනිවාර්යෙන් effect වෙනවා. ඒක නිසා අනිවාර්යෙන් ඔයා මෙහෙම ලියනවට වඩා කෙලින්ම යාගේ multiplication එකට proportional කියන එක තමයි හරිම දේ. මොකද multiplication එක තමයි පුතේ අනිවාර්යෙන් effect වෙන්නේ. මොකද අනිත් එක මොකද factors තුනම අපි physical quantities තුනම අපි එකම relationship එකෙන් මේගොල්ලන්ව සම්බන්ධ කරලා තියෙන්නේ. හරිද? ඒක අපේ logically කරලා තියෙන්නේ. So මොකද්ද? If f is directly proportional to m and f is directly proportional to a, so f is directly proportional to the product of these two physical quantities. That is a logic. According to that logic, we have built a equation. F is equal to k into m to the power something and a to the power something. Okay. So you can use this one. It is a correct method. But the thing is, this is not a correct way. පුතා. ඒක මේ correct way කියලා කියන්නේ මොකද අපිට මෙහෙම කියලා මෙහෙම ලියන්න පුළුවන්. එකක් මේක ටිකක් difficult. මොකද මේක අරගෙන ආයෙ select මෙව ගන්නවා කියන ඕගොල්ලෝ අනිවාර්යෙන් වර්ධ ගන්නවා. මැද්දට යනකොට මොකද මේක square root සනම් මනම් අපිට පස්සේ පිස්සු කිල්ලනවා. ඊට වඩා lazy සහ ඊට වඩා logical අර විදිහට ගන්න. මොකද f කියන එක මෙයාට විතරක් effect වෙන්නේ නැහැ. f කියන එක depends වෙනවා m ටයි a ටයි දෙකම මත depend වෙනවා. ඒක නිසා ඒ දෙන්නම combine කරලා relationship එක ගන්න. හරිද? combine කරපු relationship එක convert කරන්න equation එකට. ඒක තමයි ඒ කියන්නේ best way එක. ඒ කියන්නේ මේක වැරදි කියනව නෙමෙයි පුතේ. මේක වැරදි කියනව නෙමෙයි, මේක හරි. කියන දේ හරි. හැබැයි ඔයාලට calculation error එන්න පුළුවන්. මෙතනදී calculation error එන්න පුළුවන්. ඊළඟට මෙහෙම ලියලා මෙහෙම ගන්න එක අර අපි කියනනේ method එක හරි වුණාට best way එකක් නෙමෙයි. අන්න එච්චරයි වෙනස. නැත්නම් ඔයාගේ මේ logic එක හරි. තේරුණා?
Oh, sir, thank you, sir.
හරි. Good, very good. හොඳට හිතලා තියෙනවා. ලස්සනයි. හොඳයි. So, after this step, okay. After this, you can write up to this. No. You can write up to this level. You can write up to this level. This is step 2 පුතා. This is step 2 කියලා ලියාගන්න. Once I assume an equation, after that I have to apply the value of, no, you don't want to apply value of k at the first place, but the thing is, after the first step I had to use dimensional analysis to determine x and y. Okay, right under this. As this is an equation, the same base in two sides, should have same power. Therefore,
Sir, can you please repeat it again?
sorry.
Sir, can you repeat it again?
Okay. As this is an equation, the same base in two sides, should have same powers. As this is an equation, the same base in two sides should have the same same powers. Therefore, we can determine x and y. By equating powers of same base in two sides. අපි මෙහෙම තමයි ලියන්නේ පුතේ m එක m ගේ power එක consider කරනවා කියලා ලියන්නේ m එකයි මේ semicolon එකයි එක l එකයි semicolon එක ලියුවොත් l ගේ power එක තමයි consider කරේ කියලා මේ represent කරන්නේ මෙහෙම. So if I consider the power of m, LHS, the power of m in LHS is equal to 1. The power of m in RHS is equal to x. So x is equal to y. So if I equate the power of L, if I equate the power of L in LHS, it is equal to 1. In RHS, it is equal to 1. After that, you can write the equation. හරි. Shall we do some examples? Okay, you have to write the question first. You have to write the question first, then the answer. Because this is not a tune, this is the this is some part of our theory note. So you have to write the question. First one is build a relationship between the following physical quantities. The value of constant of proportionality is given in the respective problem. After that, you can write this one. Okay. Okay. Hamon Balagan. Okay. Please look at. I will do first two examples with you. Okay. First two examples with you. Look at this. I will do the first two example with you. After that, you have to do with your own. You have to write the question also. You have to write the question also because this is not a tute. This is the part of theory note. Therefore, you have to write the question too. Okay. Okay. First thing, don't write anything. Please look at the board because I want to explain how to do first two questions. How to do first two questions. Look at this. Look at the first question. Look at the first question. In first question, we are asked to determine a equation between a volume, the volume of a spherical object, and between radius, no? Radius. So we have to determine a relationship between the volume and the radius of a spherical object. So we depends on R. Okay. In this case, you have to write the given data here. V depends on R. This is the given data. So my first assumption is assume this is my assumption. Assume V directly proportional to the power of some power of R. That is my first assumption. I assume V directly proportional to some power of R. This is assumption, so we can do that. After that, you have to use this assumption to build an equation. So if any two physical quantities are directly proportional, I can write V is equal constant into R to the power X. Once you write this step, you have to write K is a proportionality constant. Proportionality constant. You should define K. Okay. So after this step, you can apply the value of K because it is given, or you can apply the value of K at the end of the equation. Okay. Okay. Shall I apply the value of K right now? So we can write V is equal 4/5/3. So that is the value of K. It is given 4/5/3 into R to the power X. If it is an equation, both sides should have same dimension. If it is an equation, this is my next argument. If this is an equation, the dimension of LHS should be equal to the dimension of RHS. That is my argument. Putta. That is my argument. Then you can get the dimension of RHS. It is equal to dimension of volume. Dimension of LHS. Dimension of RHS is equal to the dimension of R to the power X. V is a volume, so dimension of volume is L3. R, radius is a length. So length is dimension is L2, so L to the power X. After that, you can equate the power of equal bases. You can equate the power of equal bases in two sides, because this is an equation. So equal bases in two sides should have same dimension. Basic equal bases same powers should have same dimension. So you can equate the power of L. This is simple. This symbol represents that tells that you are equating the power of L in two sides. The power of L in left hand side is equal to 3. Power of L in right hand side equal to x. From that, I can determine x is equal to 3. X is equal to 3. After that, we can write the equation. Therefore, the equation is equal to v equal 4 5 over 3 into r square. 4 5 over 3 into r square. Did you get my point? Did you get me? Do you understand this calculation? Everyone. I need your response. Good. Others?
Understood, sir.
Very good. Okay. So you have to write the question. You have to write the question. First, may I write this one, build a relationship between the following physical quantities. The value of constant of opportunity is given in the respective problem. Then you can write this question. After writing this question, write the answer as in the board. අද හරිද? මේක ලියාගත්තද? Once you complete writing, please let me know. You have write question number 1 only. After that, I will give you the time. Question number 1 and the answer in the board. Once you complete writing, please may give yours so a thumb. Shall I erase this one? Good. Others? Okay. Others, shall I erase this one, Pata? Okay. Oh, my second question. Second question is build a relationship between potential energy, mass, gravitational acceleration, and height. Okay. So potential energy, according to the second equation, potential energy. Second, potential energy depends on the mass, the gravitational acceleration, and height. Height from the potential energy 0 level to the mass. Okay. So this is the relationship. So it depends on these factors. It depends on these factors. So according to the given data, my first step is the assumption. The assumption. So assume the potential energy directly proportional to some power of m, and it is directly proportional to some power of g, and it is directly proportional to some power of h. This is my assumption. I have assumed the potential energy directly proportional to each physical quantity, to some power of each physical quantity. After that, I can combine these three. How to combine these three? So if any physical quantity is directly proportional to some physical quantities, that physical quantity directly proportional to the product of these physical quantities. So I can use that relationship to build a combined relationship. So according to this, E is directly proportional to this one. So after that, I can use this relationship to build an equation. How to build an equation? I have to apply the proportional constant here. M to the power x, g to the power y, h to the power z. Once you apply the proportional constant here, you have to mention it, you have to define it. Case proportional constant. Proportional constant. And we are given the value of k. It is equal to 1. So E is equal m x g to the power y h to the power z, because k is equal to 1. It is given. Then you can apply dimensional analysis to find x, y, and z. So as this is an equation, the dimension of left-hand side should be equal to the dimension of right-hand side. So dimension of left-hand side means dimension of E. Dimension of E should be equal to the dimension of m to the power x, dimension of g to the power y, dimension of h to the power z. This is the dimensional equation. So you have to simplify this equation. So what is the dimension of E? කාටරි මතකද? So what is the dimension of E? is energy. Potential energy is energy. So dimension of P is
ml2 t minus 2
ml2 t minus 2 ml squared t minus 2 is equal, dimension of mass is m to the power x means mx. Dimension of g is a gravitational acceleration. Gravitational acceleration means acceleration. So g is equal to acceleration. So that means L2 minus 2. L2 minus 2 into y. H is a height. H is a height. Height means length. H is a height. Height means length. The dimension of length is equal to L. Then you have to simplify this one. Okay. ml is squared t minus 2. In here, there is only one m. There is only one m, so you have to write it as m to the power x. There are two l's. You have to simplify this one. In here, L to the power y. L to the power y is multiplied by L to the power z. L to the power y multiplied by L to the power z. So my answer is L to the power y plus z. Because if any two bases are multiplied with each other, if same bases, okay, if any two same bases are multiplied with each other, the powers will be added. Then I have simplified L. Then you have to simplify T. In here, there's only one T. That is t minus 2 into y. That means t minus 2y. Now you can equate the power of same bases. Equating powers of same bases. M. If I take M here, LHS, what is the power of M? Power of M is equal to 1. LHS power of M is equal to 1. RHS, in RHS, power of M is equal to X. So I can determine X here. Then you can easily determine Y. By equating the power of T in both sides. In here, the power of T, left hand side, the power of T is equal to minus 2. Minus 2 is equal, the power of T here, is minus 2y. Minus 2 is equal minus 2y means y is equal to 1. After that, finally, you can equate the power of L. The left hand side, the power of L is equal to 2. Right hand side, the power of L is equal to y plus z. I have determined the value of y here. Y is equal to 1. If y is equal to 1, z is equal to 1, 2. No? So I have calculated x, y, and z. X, y, and z all are equal to 1. K also is equal to 1. So my final equation, after that you can come here. The final equation final equation is equal E equal mgh equal mgh, because this is the assumed equation. This is the equation I have assumed. This is the assumed equation. This is the assumed equation. After I assume that equation, I have determined the value of x, y, and z. The value of k is given. So I have substituted those values to the assumed equation. Then I will have the actual equation. Do you understand this one? Everyone, I need your response. Do you understand this one, Puta? How I calculate, how I determine the equation? Everyone, I need your response. Very good. Others?
Understood, sir.
Very good, Puta. If anyone need any further explanation, please let me know. I will explain it again. Okay. Write this question. The potential energy E is stored on an object. Once you write the equation, question, write the answers on the board. Once you complete writing, Puta, once you complete writing, please do the questions up to question 5. Please do the questions up to question 5. Okay. Okay. Have you done? Up to question number 5. Once you read these 3 questions, please take a photograph and send me. මේ කල්ලි වෙලා මට ෆොටෝ එක දාන්න පුතේ. Shall we discuss application number 5? If you want more time, please let me know. Do you want more time? Okay,
1 second, sir.
okay. Okay, shall we do question number 3, 4, and 5th? Okay. In third one, we are given kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is energy depends on the mass and the velocity of an object, and it is given the proportionality constant. The proportionality constant K is equal to half. Those are the data. Okay. According to this given data, E is proportional to M and V, some power of M and V. So my first step is E, writing that relationship. First step is E directly proportional to, I assume my first step is assumption. Assume E is directly proportional to some power of M and E is directly proportional to some power of V. Write this one as assumption. Okay, don't write without this word. Okay, this is because this is an assumption, Buddha. So my assumption is, I assume E is directly proportional to some power of M, E is directly proportional to some power of Y. So if you are not write this word, please write this one. Okay, then I can combine these two, M to the power X, V to the power Y, because if any physical quantity is directly proportional to another physical quantity, then I can write this physical quantity is directly proportional to the product of these two physical quantities. Then I can write my assume equation, V to the power Y. So once you write this one, please define K. K is the proportionality constant. K is the proportionality constant. You should write this one. Okay, you should write this argument. Then you can substitute this value because it is given. E is equal half M to the power X, Y to the power, sorry, V to the power Y. V to the power Y. So as this is an equation, the left-hand side, the dimension of left-hand side should be equal to the dimension of right-hand side. So as this is an equation, the dimension of LHS is equal to the dimension of RHS. So dimension of LHS is equal dimension of E, and RHS we don't want to consider half because half is a number. So dimension of M to the power X, dimension of V to the power Y. So you have to apply the dimension of each physical quantity and simplify this one. Dimension of E is a energy. Energy means M L is squared T minus 2. M is a mass, so dimension of mass is M, so M to the power X. V is velocity. V is a velocity, so dimension of velocity is L T minus 1. So this one is equal L T minus 1 to the power Y. Once you apply the dimensions of each physical quantity, after that you have to simplify this expression. So in here M L is squared T minus 2, and here M to the power X, L to the power Y, T to the power minus 1. Now you can, as this is an equation, you can equate power of same bases. You can equate power of same bases. So equating power of same bases. Equating powers of same bases. If I equate the power of m in LHS, left hand side, the power of m is 1. The right hand side, the power of m is x. So x is equal to 1. If I compare the power of L, right hand side, the power of L is equal to 2. Right hand side, power of L is equal to y. From that, I can determine x and y. X is equal to 1, y is equal to 2. Now you can, don't stop here. Don't stop here. This is not the answer. This is not the answer. Don't stop here. So finding x and y is not the answer. We have to find the equation. You have to determine the equation. So that is the answer. Answer is the equation. So you have to substitute those values to this assumed equation. This is my assumed equation. You have to substitute this value, Buddha. So E is equal half m to the power x. X is equal to 1. V to the power y. Y is equal to 2. You have to substitute those values in that equation, Puta. Okay? Do you understand? Everyone, I need you to respond. Do you understand how I calculate this one? Very good. Please note down this. Please note down. If you have any thing to update, please update. Okay. Shall I erase this one? Shall I erase this one? Shall I erase? Okay. Okay, fourth question. Fourth question asks about the potential energy stored in a spring, no? The potential energy stored in a stretch or compressed spring. Suppose if I stretch a spring, suppose this is a spin, this is his initial point. This is his initial point. If I stretch or compress this spin, using a force, suppose I have stretched this up to x distance, there will be a potential energy stored in this spring. Okay. So I have to determine how to determine that potential energy using the applied force and the elongated length. Okay. Okay. According to the given data, the stored potential energy depends on x and f. So I can write I can write two relationships using these given data. So I can assume, write the assume. Write it as assumption. Assume E directly proportional to some power of x. Some power of x. Okay. මම මෙතන x කියලා ලියුවේ නෑ මම p කියලා ලියුවා නැත්නම් ආයතනකේ ඕක පැටලෙනවනේ ඒ නිසා මම වෙන මේ වර්ඩ් එකක් ගත්තා. Then the power of E is depends on or it is directly proportional to some power of f. So I can combine these two relationships. So from that I can write E is directly proportional to the product of these two, x to the power p into f to the power q. So I can convert this relationship into an equation. So I have to put a proportional constant here. So x to the power p into f to the power q. You have to write what is k. K is a proportional constant. So we are given the value of k. It is equal half. So E is equal half x to the power p into f to the power q. So this is my assumed equation. So I have to find p and q using dimensional analysis to find the actual equation, to determine the actual equation. So my next argument is, as this is an equation, both sides should have same dimension. So as this is an equation, the dimension of LHS should be equal to the dimension of RHS. That is the second argument or second logic. Okay, you have to write each and every logic. Okay, as this is a essay question. So LHS here, LHS is a potential energy. Here I have x, it is a length. F, it is a force. So you have to apply dimension of each and every physical quantity of that. E, dimension of E is energy. So dimension of E is ml is squared t minus 2. X is the elongated length. Elongated length is a length. So x is a length. So L to the power p. F is a force. So dimension of force means ml t minus 2 into p. So into q. After that, you have to simplify this one and write it as mlt. In here, ml2 t minus 2. So it is better to write it as mlt. In here, m, you have to take the power of q. So m to the power q. M to the power q here. Then L. So what is the power of L here? What is the power of L? In here, you have L to the power p, L to the power p. In here, you have L to the power q, L to the power q. Both terms are multiplied. L to the power p and L to the power q are multiplied each other. Same base terms are multiplied. So when it is multiplying, what will happen? The powers will be added. P plus q. Then t to the power minus 2q. So as this is an equation, the same power should have same base should have same powers, same bases should have same powers. Power should be equal. So equating powers of same bases. So if I equate the power of m in like LHS, the power of m is 1. Power of m is 1. RHS, the power of m is q. So q is 1. Then I can equate the power of t. Power of t in LHS, it is equal to -2. In RHS, it is equal to -2q. So I can divide both sides by -2. So minus no. I want to find p. I want to find p. So you have to equate the power of L. The powers of L. In here, power of L. LHS, power of L is equal to 2. The power of L is equal to P plus Q. Q is equal to 1. I have found that one. Q is equal to 1. So P is equal to 1, 2. So from that I can write P is equal to 1. Then you can write the actual equation. So the equation is equal half x to the power 1, p to the power 1. So I write this one f x half fx. Okay. Do you get my points, everyone? I need your response. Good. Okay. මේක ලියා ගන්න ඕනේ කට්ටිය. ඕනේ කට්ටිය ලියා ගන්න. මොකක් හරි ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ අඩුපාඩුවක් නැත්නම් මොකක් හරි හදාගන්න තැනක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒත් හදාගන්න බලලා ටක් ගාලා. Okay, shall I erase this one? Okay. What about question number 5? What about question number 5? What is the equation? What is the equation in question number 5? Question number 5. So it is about simple pendulum. According to that, simple pendulum. So what is a simple pendulum? What simple pendulum actually? It is something like this. This is a string. This is a ball. හරි නිකන් ටෙනිස් බෝලයක් නිකන් ස්ක්‍රීන් එකේ එල්ලලා දෙපැත්තේ පද්දුවා වගේ වැඩක්. හරිද? It is a simple pendulum. If I oscillate the simple pendulum, it will move to here and after that it will return to the original position and it will oscillate around this axis. If I give some force to simple for simple pendulum, it will rotate or it will oscillate around this axis. Okay. So the period of oscillation is the time for one rotation. One rotation means you start from here and go to here and return to the original position. You start from here and go to this place and return to the original position. So that is a one rotation. That is a one rotation. Okay. So time taken for that rotation is called as the period. The period of oscillation. So it depends on the length of this string and the gravitational acceleration. Gravitational acceleration means acceleration due to the gravity. So if I take the time period is t depends on L and G. It is given. They are given. So I can assume my first step assumption, I can assume T is directly proportional to some power of L. And the time T directly proportional to some power of G. Those are my assumption. According to those assumptions, I can write T is directly proportional to the product of these two. That means L to the power X, G to the power Y. So I can write and assume equation. So if it is directly proportional, it is K into L to the power X, G to the power Y. K is the proportional constant. K is the proportional constant. K is the proportional constant. So it is given, it is equal to 2 phi. It is equal to 2 phi. So I can write this one. T is equal 25 into L to the power x, G to the power y. G to the power y. As this is an equation, as is my next argument, as this is an equation, this is equation, no? As this is an equation, both sides should have same dimension. So dimension of LHS as this is an equation, dimension of LHS should be equal to the dimension of RHS. Dimension of RHS. Okay. Dimension of LHS. LHS means T. Dimension of T is equal to the dimension of this one. Dimension of L to the power x, G to the power y. Dimension of T. T means time. T means time, no? Dimension of T. Period of oscillation means time per one oscillation. Time per one oscillation. So T is a time. So dimension of T is equal to T. It is a time. Dimension of L. L is a length. So dimension of L is equal to x. Dimension of G. It is a gravitational acceleration, so it is acceleration. Dimension of T means LT minus 2 into 1. Then I can simplify this one. T is equal L to the power, here that's x. L to the power x is multiplied with L to the power y. L to the power x is multiplied with L to the power y. So we will have L to the power x plus y. L to the power x plus y. Then T to the power minus 2y. T to the power minus 2y. Then here there is an equation. So if it is an equation, both sides should have same basis of both sides. Same basis of both sides should have same power. So equating powers of same basis. If I equate the power of T, it is the easy one. Power of T, here the power is 1. Here the power is 2y. From that, I can say y is equal to minus half. Y is equal to the minus half. Y is equal minus half. Then you have to equate the power of L. The power of L in right hand side. Can anyone say the power of L in right hand side? What is the value? The power of L.
0.
Sorry?
0.
0. There is no L may quantity here, no? There is no L term here. So the power of L in right hand side is equal to C. So left hand side is equal to 0. Right hand side is equal to x plus y. So I know the value of y. It is minus half. So x minus half is equal to 0. So you have to bring this minus half to right hand side. So it will be plus half. then I can write the x is equal to plus half. X is equal to plus half. So you have to substitute those values in your assume equation. Assume equation is here. Assume equation is here. So t is equal to 2 phi L to the power minus half into G. So L to the power half is into G to the power minus half. G to the power minus half. Okay. So if there is a minus power, if there's a minus power in your numerator, you can bring that power, bring that value to the denominator. Then it will be plus value. So this will be written as, it can be written as 2 phi L to the power minus, so L to the power plus half over G to the power plus half. G to the power plus half. Plus half means this is square root. No, half means is square root. So t is equal to 2 phi. Both have same power. Both have same power. This is a division. This is a division, and both have same power. So I can write this as L over G, the entire half. Half means it is the square root, the power of half. No, half power is equal to the square root. Half power is equal to the square root. So I can write this one 2 phi is square root L over G. L over G. Everyone, do you get my point? Do you understand how I did the calculation? I need your response. Good. Others? Others? Because up to here, I think you can understand up to here. I need this one. How I did the calculation here. Everyone, very good. Very good. So copy this one. Once you finish copying, please let me know. Good. Okay. Everyone, I need your attention. Okay, stop writing. Okay. When we are determining a relationship or an equation between the given physical quantities, the first thing you have to do is assumption. The first thing you have to do is assumption. That thing you should mention in your answer. That is the first step. After that, you have to build an assume equation. You have to build an assume equation. So this is the assume equation. In here, there are some unknown factors, some unknown quantities. One is proportional constant, other one is those powers. The proportional constant is given. So it is given, so then you can modify this assume equation like this. Then you have to find these powers only. For that, you have to apply dimensional analysis method. When you apply dimensional analysis method, you should consider, you should simplify this one. You should simplify this one before you equating the power of same basis. The first thing you have to do is you have to simplify it as much as possible. So normally, in left hand side, normally it is MLT, M, L and T terms. You have to simplify the RHS with M, L and T terms. If there are two M terms, then you have to simplify these two M's. If there are two L terms or three L terms, you have to simplify those one twos. And therefore, you have to simplify it as much as possible. After simplifying, then you can equate the power of same basis in two sides. Okay. So there may be minus signs, there may be plus signs. If there is a minus signs, so you can bring that physical quantity into the denominator. Okay. Okay. That's enough. මේක තමයි තියෙන්නේ පුතේ. එතකොට ඕගොල්ලන්ටගේ මන් දීපු ඔය questions වල තව එතකොට balance එකක් තියෙනවා. questions පහක්ද කොහෙද? ඒ question පහ දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ homework එකක් විදිහට කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒ question පහ කරනකොට ආයෙත් question එක ලියලා ඔයාගේ answer එක ලියන්න. මොකද ඔය questions තියන්නේ ඔය tute එකක් නෙමෙයි. ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ note එකේම කොටසක්. ඒ නිසා ඔයගොල්ලෝ note එක බලනකොට ඒක note එකේ තියෙනවා. ඒක note එකේ තියෙනවනේ. ඒකයි මම ඔය මේ additional questions කියලා දුන්නේ. හරිද? ඒ නිසා ඔක additional questions මතක තියාගන්න. අපි tute එක හදන්න කලින් එතකොට question මං හිතන්නේ අපි දැන් කරලා තියෙති 50කට කිට්ටු වෙන ගණක් කරලා ඇති. හරිද? එතකොට tute එක හදනකොට ඕගොල්ලෝ full confidence පිළ තමයි tute එක හදන්න යන්නේ. හරිද? මොකද tute එක හදනකොට මගෙන් උදව් නෑ ඕගොල්ලන්ට. හරිද? දැන් මම ඕගොල්ලන්ට පුළුවන් තරම් questions කරනවා. මේ වගේ questions සාමාන්‍ය එකක් දෙකක් ඕනනම් කරන් ඇති. හැබැයි මම මෙහෙම නෙමෙයි. පුළුවන් තරම් questions කරනවා. ඕගොල්ලන්ට හොද්දටම තේරෙන්න. හරිද? මොකද ඊට පස්සේ tute එක හදනකොට ආයෙසරයක් මට ඕගොල්ලන්ට help කරන්න නැති වෙන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ මගෙන් help එකක් නැතුව ඕගොල්ලන්ට පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ tute එක complete කරන්න. හරිද? ඒක තමයි මම හදන්නේ. tute එක complete කරන්න ඕනේ ඕගොල්ලෝ මගෙන් help එකක් නැතුව. මම කියා දෙනවා. මම නෑ කියන්නේ මම අනිවාර්යෙන් කියා දෙනවා. ඒවලට complete කරන්න ඕනේ without any help. හරිද? ඒක නිසා ඕගොල්ලන්ට ඕනෙම help එක මම දෙන්නේ tute එක හදන්න කලින්. ඔය tute එක කියන්නේ එක විදිහකට ගත්තොත් exam එකක්ම තමයි පුතේ. මොකද මම tute එක හදනකොට මම අර කලින් කිව්වා වගේ ඒක MCQ tute එකක් තියෙන්නේ. ඒක නිසා අනිවාර්යෙන් ඒක මම timing බලනවා. timing අනිවාර්යෙන් මට ඕනේ බලන්න ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ. ඒක නිසා ඒ ටික හදන්න කලින් ඕගොල්ලන්ගම theoretically sound කරන්න ඕනේ. theoretical knowledge එකක් ඕගොල්ලන්ට තියෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒක නිසා තමයි මම සාමාන්‍යයෙන් එක සබ් ටොපික් එකක් අරගත්තට පස්සේ questions පුරාම කරවන්නේ. හරිද? ඒක නිසා මේ questions කරාට පස්සේ හරියට කරන ළමෙක්ට ඇත්තටම හොඳටම අල්ලගන්න පුළුවන් හැම පැත්තක්ම කවර් වෙලා තියෙනවා. හරිද? ඒ නිසා හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න question කරනකොට මම ඒකයි හැමෝටම කිව්වේ ආගියුමන්ට් එක ලියන්න. මේව නොලියෙන්න එපා ආගියුමන්ට් එක ලියන්න පුතේ. ආගියුමන්ට් එක ලියනකොට තමයි ඕගොල්ලන්ට ඒක හොඳට thoroughly understand වෙන්නේ. හරි? ඒ නිසා ඒ විදිහට ඉතුරු questions check කරන්න කාටයි ළමෙක්ට මොකක් හරි තේරෙන තත්ත්වයක් මම හැම වෙලෙම කියනවා personally මට ඒක කියන්න මම ඒකේ ළමයට අනිවාර්යෙන් personally meeting එකක් arrange කරලා කියා දෙනවා. ඒ නිසා කාවවත් මම අතහැරලා යන්නේ නැහැ. කාවත් අතහැරලා යන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක නිසා හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න මේක මේ වක්කන් උතන තීරුණා අනිවාර්යයෙන් මට කියන්න. හරි? ඒක නිසා හොඳට අල්ලගෙන යන්න මේ දැන් ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ ඇත්තටම 25 බැජ් එක ගත්තොත් එතන ඇත්තටම ගොඩක් හොඳයි බැජ් එකම හොඳයි. ඒක නිසා ඒ ගැම්ම දිගටම තියාගෙන යන්න අතරින් නම් එපා මගදී. හොඳද? හොඳයි. එහෙනම් අපි අද ක්ලාස් එක නවත්තමු පුතේ. මොකක් ලියා ගන්න ඕන කට්ටිය ඉන්නවා නම් මම මෙතන ඉන්නවා. ලියා ගන්න. ලියාගත්ත කට්ටියට ලීව් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. So have a good day to all of you. Okay.
Thank you, sir. God bless you.
Welcome, Pita.
Thank you, sir. God bless you.
Okay. Welcome.